Hello, hello, and welcome to the first ever Marshall Sports Podcast, the show where we simply talk about sports and literally nothing else. I'm your host, Colin, and today is November 14th, 2019. And for this inaugural episode, we have a very special guest, my brother, Jeff Marshall. Jeff, how is everything going this evening?
Oh, it's going good. It's going good. It's a little cold outside, but hey, man,
It
it's good.
is. What's the temp out there in Houston tonight?
It's a little colder than it should be.
Yeah, probably colder. You guys, of course, don't know, but Jeff's in Houston. I'm from Houston. Whole family's from Houston. I just moved to Salt Lake City, Utah. I hate the Jazz, so just throwing that out there. Houston Rockets forever. But yeah, I just moved, and Jeff's actually been messaging me every single day saying how much he misses me, how much he wants me to come home. So I figured the least I could do is put him on the podcast and make him feel a little bit better, right?
Of course. And yeah, I like that he's representing his Rockets there.
Oh yeah,
He
oh yeah.
hasn't changed to his Utah Jazz
Nope.
shirt there.
Second in the West. Second in the West. All right,
Yep.
so let's just go ahead and get right into it. Today we're going to talk about, the latest college football playoff rankings, scores from the previous week, and then we're going to get into some point spreads for next week, talk about some biggest games, and we're going to get into some NBA standings, some Astros scandals, and then we're going to talk about Mike Trout beating Bregman in the MVP race. Sad day for Houstonians, sad days for Astros fans. All right, so let's get right into it. Let's discuss some scores from the previous week. All right, of course. So first thing is first. I don't think I've ever seen a team dominate as, week by week as Ohio State has been literally since the beginning of the year. I mean, what are your thoughts on Ohio State? They just kind of look unbeatable right now.
I don't see Ohio State. I don't see Ohio State even getting close to getting challenged at all uh, until even the college football playoff.
I mean, let's see. They beat Have they played Michigan yet?
No, they don't play him to the end of the season.
That's right.
I don't even see the media will try to build it up and try to say something, I'll make it a big game. But, I just don't see it.
I mean, their biggest test is going to be Penn State and Michigan. And then, honestly, it looks like Minnesota might be in the Big Ten championship game. That's exciting, man. Row the boat. That's all I got to say. Row the boat.
He better be rowing the boat real good.
Yeah, to beat Ohio State, for sure. No doubt. And honestly, the way Justin Fields is playing right now, I mean, the dude, you know what I've noticed about Justin Fields? His numbers aren't that extravagant. It almost, compared his numbers to the amount of points Ohio State is scoring, I mean, he's really only putting up like 200, 300 yards a game and a few touchdowns usually. I know I want to say he is number one to win the Heisman right now, isn't he? Or is it Joe Burrow at this point?
I'd probably give it to Joe Burrow right now.
Yeah.
Because of the teams he has to face. If I would feel that if Ohio State had a tougher schedule, maybe, Fields would, get more media attention. But right now, just people feel like it's a breeze that, that he doesn't deserve as more as Burrow does.
For sure. I mean, that takes us right into the next game. You got that amazing game, LSU Alabama. Did you get a chance to watch it over the weekend?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Like the millions of other people definitely
exactly. I mean, so what are your thoughts on Tua playing on a bad ankle? For a while it looked like LSU was going to run away with it, but then out of nowhere Alabama came storming back, and it came down to one of the last possessions, and ultimately LSU was able to get the win over Alabama in their house. Just pretty crazy. Honestly, I thought Alabama would be able to pull it out, but what are your general thoughts on that game? What are the takeaways?
I definitely thought Alabama was definitely going to pull it out. Definitely being the sports bettor I am, I definitely would have taken Alabama in the point spread.
Yeah. What were they? Like a
Um,
7-point favorite? I think that's the
they
last place
were,
I
I
saw
think
it.
they finished out at 6.5.
Yeah.
But definitely, LSU, proved me wrong. Joe
Man.
Burrow, came to play. He did really good. But man, how about that scoring? I
I
mean,
know. Honestly, it's crazy, if you think back 5 years ago, what this matchup looked like. I mean, we had
mhm.
what the famous game that was 9-6, and that was less than 10 years ago. I mean, it's insane what these two teams have morphed into. They were already hell of a team. Both of them were, hella good teams. In the last few years, even before they adopted this kind of high-speed offense. But now, who the hell is going to beat these teams? Like, who is capable of beating them?
I don't know. I don't know.
A&M, our Ags. Did our
Yeah.
Ags do it?
Yeah, let's go with that. That's a yeah.
Hey
Uh,
man, A&M LSU, last
yeah,
game of the season. Be ready
A&M
for it.
LSU. Yeah, let's go. Let's give it 8 overtimes this year.
Oh, dude, they are gonna come out so hot against us, man. Because they're gonna be pissed about last year too.
Maybe let's give Arkansas a chance for LSU. Give us LSU.
Oh yeah, did they play? They play this weekend?
No, I think Ole Miss gives LSU a chance, and
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
you
we'll
know.
check that out. We'll check that out. We'll see what that point spread is right now. I bet it's ridiculous. All right, so going down, I did not see this one coming. Honestly, I, here's the thing. Sometimes I hear PJ Fleck, and I'm like, that dude is such a hothead. Like, does he really motivate his players like to win these big games? Like, there's no way they're going to win the big games. They have completely proven me wrong, man. I watched that Minnesota Penn State game. It was total dominance, basically all 4 quarters of the game. Really can't say enough about this Minnesota team. I felt that they were disrespected, in the college football playoff rankings. And now, they're going to get their shot ultimately against Ohio State. So, I mean, I don't see who's going to beat them in the regular season until they get to Ohio State.
I agree, but I'm always a person that thinks they come off a high win, but they still have a team like Iowa.
That's
Uh,
very true. Very true. A
a
team
team
can
like
get mud.
Iowa that can just come out of nowhere. They're everyone's high on them right now, and thinking they're just going to be rolling along and going to uh, go play Ohio State. But Iowa, for some reason they just have all the tight ends in the world.
Oh
They go
yeah,
play in the
always.
NFL. They're going to march themselves down the field, and they can maybe give Minnesota a chance. I think Minnesota can pull it out, but I think it's going to be a low scoring game, and maybe they can stop the boat from rowing.
For sure, man. I mean, as much as I would love to see Minnesota pull it off in the Big Ten, I don't see them beating Ohio State. All right, moving on to Clemson, NC State. I don't even know what to say about Clemson's schedule anymore. It's absurd, honestly. And I love that the rankings has them outside of the playoffs right now. It shows that they know that they have such a crap schedule, and they better dominate if they want a chance to get in.
Well, when it comes to Clemson, I kind of agree with what was Herb Street said a couple of days ago. I think it's all for just media purposes. I think it's what he said that if Clemson just wins out, I know even though their schedule is a joke, um, as much as I'll say to about our Aggies, you know, they're the hardest game they played all year, but that still was an
That
easy
meant
game.
something at first, man. That
It
meant
meant something
something
at
at the beginning of
first.
the year.
Um,
God.
but yeah, their schedule is a joke. I think they have a game coming up against Wake Forest.
Hmm.
They'll try to say that's a game, but
Yeah, there's
no,
nothing.
no,
They don't
no,
have any
that's
big
nothing. They
games.
don't have any big game.
I mean, they'll play what? Virginia Tech in the ACC championship game?
Yeah, possibly Virginia, and they'll say that maybe the quarterback will give them a chance
I mean,
to try to
yeah,
make people watch it, but
that's
no,
that's
no.
pretty ridiculous. But I do think that with the way that the other teams in the top four right now are going to get beat up, Clemson's going to get in. If they win out, I don't see another way. All right, moving on. We got Georgia, Missouri. Georgia does their thing, basically shutting out a team, which is kind of. I mean, I haven't watched much of Missouri this year, but to get shut out, it's kind of bad. And then you got Oklahoma, Iowa State. You got that big Oklahoma Baylor game coming up this week that I am super excited about. You got game day down there in Waco. I'm sure the student body there is just pumped, and the whole city of Waco is pumped as well. But, what do you think about Oklahoma? Because we saw them dominate the beginning of the year, and then they had that loss to K-State, and now they're going into a top 12 matchup this week. What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, no spoilers, but I mean, I would be already taking, Oklahoma in the point spread, but
Ooh,
I
get to
think
that.
I think it's going to be a good game. Baylor, trying to be, they got college game day coming down there, it's going to be a great time in Waco.
Yeah.
There's going to be great parties going on down there.
For sure.
I'm sure, be a lot of drinking and stuff, but hey, I hope it's a good game, but I think
too.
Oklahoma's got a lot of good talent.
Me too. Yeah, I definitely got that one circled for game day Saturday. Gonna tune in. Oh, we got to get to this one. Did you see the Baylor TCU game? Did you see how that ended?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I think we need to bow our heads and pray for anyone who happened to take the under in that game, because that has to be the worst bad beat of their life so far. I mean, it was 9-6, at the end of the fourth quarter, and then they kicked the field goal. You should just know, once that game gets into overtime, like, you're done. You're going to lose. You already know it. And who would take the under anyways in a college football game? I don't understand when people do that, but some people do. Some people win.
Yeah. I'm one of those people. So,
You take the under in college football games?
Yeah. I've taken the under and I've learned my lesson. So
yeah, I'd love to see what your wallet looks like. Empty. Yeah. Well, here's, you were just talking about Iowa earlier. Do they have Minnesota this week? Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Is Iowa at home?
I don't remember if it was.
We'll take a look at it next.
I'll take a look at it next. I can't remember if it was there, but
sure.
Iowa, man, they just really have some, they're like tough mentality, and they give everyone just a hard time. They always seem to stay in the top 25, and
always. I was about to say that.
Everyone just forgets about them, but they, as I said, they're just a really hard-fought team, and
yeah, that should be a good one. I mean, that game, Minnesota, Iowa, is going to be one in the trenches, so we'll see what happens, even though Minnesota's got a pretty good passing game. Looking forward to that one. Notre Dame, Duke, man, I don't really have much to say about Notre Dame. Honestly, it seems like once they're out of the playoff picture, everyone just kind of forgets about them. They'll end up, making it to a nice bowl game, but just like Notre Dame. All right, they're out of the playoffs. All right, we can forget about them now.
I did see that Notre Dame, we're not talking about their scores, but something about their sellout record is about to be broken at their stadium.
Really?
Yeah, there was
interesting
news about their sellout record about to be broken at their stadium. I can't remember what the exact number was, but
is it against a big team, or just got a lot of people come to the games right now?
Just, I don't know. I can't remember if it was against a big team or not. But I'd have to look it up again.
I gotcha. K-State, Texas. Do you see Texas barely pulled that one off?
Yeah. It's the second, Kansas team they had to barely pull it off against.
Literally, that Kansas-Texas game was fun to watch, because I almost thought that Kansas was going to pull it off, but they barely survived another Kansas team. I don't understand Texas personally. Again, it's one of those teams every year. They come in and everyone's like got such high hopes on them. Maybe it's ESPN that sort of gets that into our head. They're sort of like, hey, Texas is going to be good. Texas is back this year. And then it turns out they're not back. And then it turns out that they end up going 500. And then it turns out that they barely beat teams like Kansas and Kansas State. But at the end of the year, they'll win some bowl game, and ESPN will hype them up for the next season. So I really want them to play bad. So
don't forget about Longhorn Network.
Yeah, don't forget. Yes, which I tune into every single morning. Just like everyone does. I mean, don't they have some of the worst ratings in all of ESPN's programs? I don't see how anyone's watching that. I don't even think Texas people watch that.
I don't even remember what channel it is, so I couldn't say.
Yeah, their most anticipated game is one that happened in 2011 against A&M, and they just play it every single night. That game was dumb.
Or the 2005 Rose Bowl.
Yeah, the 2005 Rose Bowl, the greatest day, greatest game ever to be played in college football. All right, so I guess that's enough about scores. I do want to touch on the current college football playoff rankings, just to kind of get your thoughts. I'll give some of my 2 cents about it. Overall, I am extremely satisfied. You got LSU at number 1, Ohio State at number 2, Clemson at number 3 now, Georgia at number 4, and Alabama, looking from the outside in, at number 5. What are your thoughts on the top 5?
I mean, I think it's pretty. I mean, I like it. I mean, it's pretty good. I like it too. I mean, they all control their destiny. LSU, I mean, they win out. It's the same. Ohio State wins out. Clemson wins out. Mm-hmm. I mean, Georgia controls their own destiny as well. I mean, the South Carolina loss really doesn't hurt them. If they win out.
That's crazy. That's crazy that it doesn't hurt them. That doesn't make any sense to me, honestly. That's a horrible loss. At home, too.
Oh, no, I agree. But when you beat teams like Florida and
Notre Dame. I guess Bama hasn't really played, such a tough schedule so far. Because I'm just thinking, Bama barely loses to LSU. Georgia loses to South Carolina at home. And Georgia's 4 and Bama's 5. It's kind of hard to comprehend. I know in the end it'll all make sense. But some of these weeks, you just kind of look at it like, I don't understand that one specifically. But overall, this looks like a pretty good list. The Pac-12 is trying so hard to get in. You got Oregon at 6 and the University of Utah, go Utes, at 7. Do you think there's a chance that the Pac-10 the Pac-12, the Pac-12 could finally make it in? What was the last time? Mariota, back in one of the first ones. Do you think they can make it in?
There's a chance. If they do, I just don't think they can compete. But
I don't think so either. But I don't see how they're going to get in without LSU or Georgia or Bama losing again.
Honestly, how do you not watch the LSU-Alabama game and think
both of those teams? No, I totally agree. I totally agree with you. I know, some people say it's our SEC bias, but honestly, I don't care who you are. If you watch that game, those are, if not the top 2, then definitely the top 4, of the top 4 playing. So I don't really see how LSU and Bama aren't going to get in, and I think it's shaping up to kind of give us that, especially since they're not going to play each other in the SEC championship game. So I think they get in, but overall, is there any more comments on here that you got? You got Oklahoma and Florida looking out. Oh, look at all these SEC teams, man. It's absurd.
I'm telling you, if one thing I will say is if Minnesota, if they definitely do row the boat, I would love to see them in the college football playoffs.
I would love it too. I would love it too. Someone would be buying out PJ Fleck's contract if that happens. That honestly might still happen.
Yes, there is no doubt.
But Yeah, just a PSA for anyone who might be watching. A&M plays LSU. They played Clemson. They played Georgia. They played Bama. They played Auburn. Yeah, I mean, it's been tough. What? Did
They
Texas really slip in here somehow?
three number one.
19? Is this a joke?
It's the bias.
Dude, how? They're six and look at the numbers around them. Yeah, you got Iowa, but look at the numbers around them. Like, come on. They almost lost to Kansas. They barely beat teams like Kansas. It's ridiculous. All right, well, we're going to move on because we're running out of time. Let's look at some lines for this weekend. Oh, let's see. I know we want to look at that Baylor line. No pun intended. So you got Baylor right now at home with College Game Day, and they're given 10.5 points. What are your thoughts on that?
Just as I said earlier, I think Oklahoma is trying to push for that tough loss. That came in the hands of Kansas State.
Yeah,
and almost losing to Iowa State.
Yeah,
I just think they have a lot better athletes than Baylor, and I think they come out firing, and Jalen Hurts runs all over them.
Yeah, I mean, it's either going to be Baylor barely wins, in my opinion. It's either going to be Baylor barely wins, or OU just blows them out of the water. I don't see another way.
I agree.
All right, yeah, no, we're going to get into our homeboys. Our Ags at home this weekend against USC, not Southern California, South Carolina. That was one of the things I've had to get used to since we've joined the SEC. When SEC fans say USC, they're talking about University of South Carolina. So, we've got USC this weekend. And just a fun fact, we have not lost to them since we joined the SEC, and we played them every year since the 2014 season, looking for another victory. But can they cover 11.5?
I would take A&M. I'm going to take A&M to win. 11.5 is quite a bit because I think
a lot of points.
A lot of points. But, the one thing they do say is, I might regret this, but they do say is I possibly, do take the under on this.
Oh, yeah, it's at 50. I mean,
50, I know. I just both these teams with scoring, I just don't see it.
Well, here's another thing. How does Kellen Mond come out? Does he come out firing, or does he come out like this, halfway confident Kellen that seems like we've been seeing this year? You never know with A&M. That's why they're pretty much unpredictable to bet on.
Does Jimbo let him run? Does Jimbo let him throw?
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, I don't know what's going on with compared to last year. You'd think, all right, Kellen's a junior this year. He's going to make that big upperclassman step up, and we just haven't seen it. And I know a lot of people will say, well, look at the schedule, but I feel like even the mediocre teams we play, we haven't seen those improvements that we thought we were going to get this season.
Yes, no, I agree. I completely agree with you.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to get to a game you discussed earlier. We're going to go to Minnesota, Iowa. Iowa, laying the 3 at home. What are you thinking here?
I'm going to burst everyone's bubble on Minnesota. I like Iowa.
Really? Iowa at home?
I like Iowa at home. I like it's going to be in the cold. I wouldn't be surprised. It seems like every time I watch Iowa play, it's like a rainy game.
That's true. Totally. Totally.
They're gonna do what I find amazing. They're gonna go back which is an awesome tradition. Waving back to the hospital, the kids in the hospital.
It is.
It's just awesome.
Big game for Iowa. Because Minnesota's coming off that high. This is a big game for Iowa.
It's Minnesota is going to be on a humongous high, and everybody's going to, think that that they're tremendous. They're going to think that they're just going to blow them out. But after watching Iowa, what they do, I'm taking the 3 points, and I think they win by a touchdown.
Yeah, man, you're definitely a party pooper right now. I'll tell you that. There's going to be a lot of money being thrown on Minnesota plus the points, and also probably on the money line as well. So we'll see what happens there. Definitely got that one circled. I know Jeff will be watching as well. One thing I wanted to touch on. Okay, here's that LSU Ole Miss game. LSU, Ole Miss given 21.5 at home. You think LSU covers? I don't see how they don't.
Oh, LSU all day long.
I mean, they're going to crush them.
Oh.
How are they going to stop them? How are they going to stop Joe Burrow?
LSU all day long.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to win by 50.
This will. I cannot believe the line is at 21.5. If you go for it now, because it's going to be going up.
Jump on that. Take Jeff's advice. Well, if you don't want to take the spread, you can always bet $19 to win $1 on the money line. You want to do that?
Yes.
I mean, like $100, I'll give you like what, $4 or something like that. That's pretty cool.
That's a fool's bet.
Exactly. All right, so that's enough football talk. We're really looking forward to the college football week. I want to say it's week 12 coming up or week 13. Either way, a lot of good games. Going to be watching all day probably. But let's jump into the NBA. I want to talk about our Rockets. I want to specifically talk about, kind of the beginning thoughts on the season. Take a look at the current playoff picture, even though it's way too early to be talking playoffs. But, we're going to go ahead and do that anyway. So, kind of looking at the Western Conference at the moment, we got the Lakers on top. I haven't had the chance to watch a LeBron AD game yet. Have you?
I watched a little last night, them playing, the Warriors. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, man, I don't feel any pity for the Warriors.
They're non-existent. They're not even a team anymore.
They're not a team anymore. I do love talent. I hate the fact that, Clay and Steph are both out, but man, I don't feel any pity for them.
Yeah, no. I mean, I totally don't either, but it's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time until they come back, and we're going to watch them. We're going to watch them creep up this Western Conference. But yeah, I mean, from the highlights I've seen on ESPN and everything, it looks like the Lakers, got it going early. They have just a lot of firepower going on between LeBron, AD, and then they also have Lance Stevenson in now.
They do.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be a good team. I'm looking forward to when they match up with the Rockets. Speaking of the Rockets, we started out pretty slow. It kind of looks like we've caught our footing in the last week or so. I'm really looking forward to what Harden and Westbrook are going to do together. And actually, on that note, it's been interesting watching Westbrook kind of take the back seat, if you will, to Harden. Have you kind of been seeing that? He really hasn't been putting up those godly numbers that he did at OKC.
So I just want everybody to know, if I might be a little biased here. I just want to know that Harden is not traveling. When he puts up those numbers, which is amazing numbers, some of the numbers he's putting up are just historic numbers. I mean, what we're watching now is just something. I mean, I'll be talking about, telling my kids about. And
but will he be robbed again of the MVP title? He's so disliked by the voters. They knew they had to give it to him that one year, but I have a feeling they're never going to give it to him ever again. No matter what kind of numbers he puts up, he's just overall hated. And not by me, represent. But he's just overall disliked. But, it's just frustrating because, he puts up these amazing numbers, and it seems like at the end of the year, nothing comes of it.
I mean, right now with the numbers he's putting up, I mean, he looks like he's going for the MVP. I mean, the way he played last night, I mean, against the so-called, Paul George, coming
Paul
in like
George lists.
Paul George lists, defensive, can't stop. But, if you watch yesterday's game, Paul George never went and defended Harden.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so he's, doing it, frequently. And so, but I do agree, he is probably the most hated player in the NBA.
Yep, and he will be as long as he stays, the stud that he is. He will be. All right, moving down, my new home team, my new hometown team, the Jazz. I haven't watched a single game. Haven't watched a single game of the Nuggets. The Clippers got Kawhi, so I'm sure they will definitely be in the picture all year. It looks like he's been doing his thing, except the Rockets beat him last night. So, But whoa, the Suns. How are the Suns slipping in there? Have they been playing good lately? Devin Booker?
Yeah. I mean, they got some young talent,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've always.
Who's that super tall guy? Who was the number 1 overall pick a couple years ago? Super tall guy.
See, that's what the Suns, that's.
Yeah. Hold on. DeAndre Ayton.
Oh, yes. He's a very good player.
Is he? Because every time I see him, he just seems so, slow and lazy. Uncoordinated. He looks uncoordinated. But obviously they're doing something right because they're currently in the playoff picture. They're not that typical, 2-10 starting team. So we'll see what comes of that, honestly. You think the Spurs will stay out of the picture for very long?
A Greg Popovich team, yeah.
Always make the playoffs. What is it? Is it 19 years in a row?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, he needs to be inducted into the Hall of Fame before he even retires. It's unbelievable. And of course, growing up, me and Jeff both growing up Houston Rockets fans, we've always hated the Spurs. We've always hated the Mavericks. But you got to respect what Popovich has done there the last, 20 years at this point. It's unbelievable. All right, so we'll take a look at the Eastern Conference for a second before we get into some heartbreaking Houston Astros news. You got the Celtics kind of running the tables right now. They got Kemba now. Now Kyrie is gone. So who's on that team? Is it just Kemba?
We got Kemba, Jason Tatum. Well, you just, unfortunately, I mean, Hayward. Gordon Hayward.
Oh, didn't he break his ankle or something? No, that was a couple years ago. He broke his hand.
Broke his hand. I mean, man, the dude has the worst luck.
Oh, yeah, dude. Opening night a couple years ago when he cracked his ankle in half, that was pretty devastating.
That was –
that's hard to even think about, honestly.
The worst luck for him.
Yeah. He's making his money, though.
No, I mean, the money's going to be paid no matter what.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about the health-wise.
That's true. Well, what's even more surprising than the Celtics' great start is the Heat. And the way they crapped on our Rockets the other night, I'm pretty impressed with the Heat. I don't know if they can keep it up. Right now they're sitting at number 2 at 8-3. But, man, they look like they got some firepower right now.
No, yeah, they definitely do. They definitely got some pretty good talent on that team. I don't know if they can keep it up.
I don't. Who knows, man?
The Bucks and the 76ers, to me, along with the Celtics, I think will end up finishing 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Western Conference is just, to me, is so much more stacked compared to the Eastern.
Always. Yeah, so just to run through the rest of these, you got the Raptors at number 3 right now, Bucks at number 4, 76ers. I feel like this is your typical Eastern Conference playoff picture right here. Very, very typical. Yeah, so enough basketball. We're running out of time. I do want to touch on some heartbreaking news. We got the Houston Astros being called cheaters. What do you have to say about it?
You know, when you start winning, you
Is that
know
what it
it.
is?
When you
I
start
want to
winning
say
a lot,
that, man.
you know, and you start finding the formula, the way to win, people start thinking, oh, they're cheating. Like the Patriots.
Yeah, same with the Patriots. I mean, of course, the Patriots have had long-lasting success, whereas the Astros have been very good the last 3 years. But I mean, just look at this narrative. USAToday.com 5 hours ago. This tarnishes everything. Astros cheating allegations have the baseball world demanding punishment. So I kind of see what you're saying. Everyone's going to want, the Astros to probably have their World Series taken away. I'm always the kind of guy who wants to see everything until we start drawing conclusions. I'm sure you would agree. I know I am a little bit biased because I don't want my Astros World Series to be taken away. But honestly, like news like this comes out, everyone freaks out. Everyone gets on Twitter, on Facebook, or whatever, and starts screaming. But I just think that once it's all said and done, it's not going to be hopefully as bad as people are saying it is.
Yeah, it's. I think it'll go away. I think it's been if it's like happening just a little. I feel like a lot of teams are doing kind of something.
They have to be. They have to be. There's no way they're not. I mean, come on.
What's the saying? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah. If you ain't cheating, you ain't winning. I mean, look at college football, man. There's got to be so much cheating that's going on in college football right now. Between paying players, boosters coming in and paying players. Although it's going to be interesting to see in the next few years with that, the new changes coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, hopefully with the amount of money A&M's athletic program produces, hopefully we'll start winning. Jeez, if we can start paying players, we'll be good.
No kidding.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next week with this Astros news. In the meantime, we got a big call. What's up?
Side note: bring NCAA football back.
Yes. Oh my gosh, dude, I saw that. And see, that comes with the news about them getting to pay the players, right? Because they'll be able to make money off of their likeness.
Mm-hmm.
That's super exciting. Me and my brother Jeff, we grew up playing NCAA football so much. We had many fights over NCAA football. Trying to change the rules. Customizing your own players, making yourself 7 feet tall, 360 pounds, and also be able to run a 4.2 40. It was always fun back in the day. Yeah, I'm looking to hop on that dynasty mode again. I know Jeff always loved to pick a team like Toledo and take them to the national championship. That was your thing.
This is true.
Yeah, so really looking forward to
True.
that. I hope the development starts soon. That's pretty much it for this inaugural episode. Looks like we touched all the bases. Really looking forward to this college football week that's coming up, and hopefully, me and Jeff can start doing this fairly often, just to kind of touch base with each other, and then I'll likely have some more guests on the show. But thank you guys for tuning in if you're watching this, and yeah, hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching the Marshall Sports Podcast.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Later.